Hello and welcome to episode 15 of the Chronicles, with us the Red Devil Chronicle. My name's Andy.
And my name's Nick.
And this week, Eminem make United fans sing for the moment, and dare we say, remember the name, Andreas Pereira. That's up next on United Chat. So let's start with the Southampton game, of course. Our very own Eminem in Mata and Martial, the goal scorers in United's 3-2 win. Joined in the studio as ever by Nick to the left, and through the window, through the looking glass, is producer Joe. Evening.
You're all right, sorry.
How's it going? All right.
Couldn't find the words.
Decent intro, by the way.
Decent?
Yeah, decent.
Okay, I'll take that. Yeah. Okay, so Southampton game. Southampton 2, Man United 3. 3 points more important, I think, in this one. Excellent win. Martial again the hero, but Mata grabbing another goal. I mean, his goals to game ratio absolutely superb at United. Was it just the case, Nick? I'll kick off with you. Was it just the case for you of just getting the win?
Yeah, first and foremost, it was a tough place to go. It's never an easy game. You know, remember previous seasons we had to come back from 1-2-0 down. We had Van Persie in the past, and this time we had Martial. I thought we were actually decent, to be honest with you. I didn't think we were that bad. Once we had to sort of eliminate Pele's threat, but once he was gone and out the picture and we put Smalling next to him, the game was relatively easy for United. They just sort of had to get the points. That was
it. Definitely. Nick just raises a point there, Joe, about United being good in parts, and I completely agree. In parts we were superb, but is this part of a growing problem at United, a sort of bipolar United performance again, still capable of being incredibly flaccid, lacklustre, slow on the ball, looking like nothing's going to happen, boring to watch, and then suddenly producing a moment out of nowhere? I mean, you look at the Mata goal, for example, for the third
teams.
one. Yeah, well, they are in that respect, and certainly when we popped the ball around 45 times for Mata's goal, and you see that sort of progress there of beautiful football. Do you think that we're becoming a bit of a scary monster, Joe, of boring football mixed with occasional moments of brilliance?
It depends what you define as boring, doesn't it? If you see, I think we're in control of games. I said it last week. I'll say it again. I think we're just purely in charge of every game that we go to now, and we're going away and still keeping that philosophy. Dare I say it?
50p for the jar.
But no, I think it's getting better. I think it's good football. I think that a 3-2 win at Southampton's great. I do think there was some silly goals in there that probably could have been avoided, but I think that was just going to happen. So I do think that it was a good game to watch. I didn't have anything really that bad to say about it. It was great to see De Gea making some amazing saves. I think that with the odd substitutions that took some players out of the game, like Tadic, then I think it was, overall, I think that it started to gel together, and I think the team knows what they need to do.
Definitely agree with that. And Joe just mentions De Gea there, Nick. Definitely worthy of more of a mention. Arguably man of the match up there with Martial, obviously, for the exploits at either end of the field. And De Gea certainly kept us in the game. Yeah. I mean, how high do you think we can finish if De Gea stays with us all season?
I think we can challenge for a title, personally, if we keep De Gea fit. But like I will say, if we had De Gea against Swansea, we wouldn't have lost that game. We lost that game solely based on Blin not being good enough to defend against Gomez, and Romero was terrible in net. If we had a decent centre-back in front of De Gea, we would definitely challenge for the title.
I can hear Joe from the other side squirming away. But Joe, I mean, Nick's just mentioned about Daley Blind. I mean, in my opinion, and I'm sure Nick shares it, Blind looks suspect again for me against Southampton.
It's against bigger fellas.
I mean, how much shape is being lost with missing Shaw? Was it down to that, or is it that just Blind isn't good enough, as Nick says, against the bigger players?
Well, did Blind look like this when Shaw was in the team? I mean, he had a few occasions where he probably did look like he wasn't comfortable with a few players. But you are missing a pacey defender in Shaw.
Did Shaw play against Swansea?
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, that was the only other occasion Blind has looked suspect.
I was saying throughout the whole season that we had, the first three games we kept a clean sheet. So Blind in that defence is clearly good enough to do a role. Yeah, we weren't playing amazing teams, but
Blind has played against three big strikers this season. Rudy Gestede, who come from Blackburn, a lower division, and I think that was his first game in the Premier League. He did all right against him. He got man of the match, fair play. He's played against Gomez, who's got a lot of Premier League experience, played a few games in it, and Pella, again, who's had a season or two in the Premier League.
Last week before
last week's podcast,
we were saying is Blind? You were all complimenting Blind, saying that he looked good. Is he looking good because he's out of position?
I said he was a stopgap. Don't get me wrong; he's doing a brilliant job, but he is a stopgap.
He will fulfil a role.
But who else are we playing there? Nobody in that squad is going to do a better role than Blind.
I'd still rather have. I didn't like the guy, but I'd rather have Jones ahead of Blind in there.
I mean, Jones
Especially
was back
against
in
the
the
bigger
team
players.
last night, back in the squad. I mean, do you think Jones could get his way back in, Joe?
I don't know. I think that part of LVG's team is Blind. I think that he works well with the tempo that's being played. I think if the tempo started to change, yes, we'd have to bring in a different player. I think he works purely because it's quite a slow tempo. It's a lot of build-up play, and I think that Blind works within that because it's no panicking. It's always play the ball out, get it into Schweinsteiger, get it into Carrick, get it into Schneiderlin, and then work from there.
But we named 4 big strikers that he's played against target men, if you like, then. And he's been exposed against 2 of them, and arguably Benteke had a poor game but still scored a wonder goal. So he does get exposed against the larger players, and it's going to become more prevalent the longer the season goes on.
I mean, Blind is a clever player. Is it that United should be a bit more clever in that when we face the bigger teams, if we are going to play Blind, that Smalling should be attaching himself to that man? Because when you said it yourself, and it's correct, when Smalling went over onto Pella was out the game.
He was obsolete, yeah, that was it. I think it's a case of when we are coming up against bigger strikers, not playing Blind in centre-back position, playing him at left-back position, obviously with Shaw's injury. I'd rather play Jones or Rocco at centre-back when we come up against these strikers that are 6'2", 6'3", and are just looking to stick themselves to Blind and win the ball in the air.
I think it's a fair point. I think that's a fair point. I mean, Blind can fulfil a role. I think we all agree with that, to differing extents on what role, but I think that's a fair enough comment from Nick. I mean,
I think I'd rather see what we did last night and put Young back there than put Blind there.
That's against the lower division Ipswich Town team.
But still, I don't think that Blind is perfect for that role. I don't think it would work the same. I think you may as well play 3 centre backs and then have 2 wing backs like we played.
Let's not go back to that, please.
Blind is playing at centre back. But when he was first named in the team, there was a lot of uproar about it with United fans, blaming Van Gaal for not signing a centre-back in the summer. And that point is still valid. That remains. The only reason he's playing at centre-back is because we did not reinforce that in the summer. If we bought a centre-half in the summer, he wouldn't be playing there now. And he wouldn't have been exposed against Gomez. He wouldn't have looked suspect against Pella. And you can't really argue against that.
I mean, let me put it this way, Joe, in putting a question to you. Even with De Gea back in goal now, we are still conceding goals.
Well, we're conceding more with him in goal.
Yeah, I mean, should that
we look
not
better
cause
going forward this season, and we look worse defensively than we did last season?
Absolutely true. Should we not be concerned though that even with a player of David De Gea, of that ilk back in goal, of that talent, that we are still leaking goals, Joe? Does that not suggest bigger problems at United?
I think we've got probably. I'd like to hope we've got one of the best defences records in the last couple of seasons in the league, and I think that we there's a reason for that. I don't know if that's the talent with other teams not able to start breaking down our defence, but I think that there's always going to be problems, but every squad's going to have them, and I do think that maybe we're just picking at straws here. Last week we're saying, it's the final third. This week we're saying it's defence. I think we need to kind of make up our mind on what we're focusing on. I think people are getting confused about blaming one part of the pitch because the other one's not working well.
I just feel that compared to the other top 4, top 5 teams, we concede a lot more chances than they do. That's my personal opinion.
No, I again, inclined to agree with that point. We are susceptible to conceding possession, perhaps in poor areas of the pitch.
Counter-attacking football, I think, at the moment is one of our weaknesses, definitely.
Yeah. Without a doubt. We'll get some fans' thoughts on the game, and please, if you've got any thoughts on what we've just discussed around the Southampton game, do get in touch at WeFollowUnited on Twitter. But Cogsy666 said that he really enjoyed the game. De Gea and Bastian were brilliant. He gave the game a 9 out of 10. And at C-Clay 1978 United, another poor start, fought back well, and some good football. He gave it an 8 out of 10. David De Gea and Martial, different class. I think everyone echoes that point. More to come from United as well. And I think in with that point that Chris makes there at the end, more to come from United, I think that's a good time for us to move on to the midweek game, of course, from last night against Ipswich. I think, although the game was boring in parts, I think we did see more from United, and I thought we saw the boost in confidence from 3 goal scorers that we needed to see goals from, Joe.
Well, if we can do this against the bigger teams, if we can do this every week, then I don't see no reason. I said to you on the way up here that we're going to win the league. I think
I still don't know what he's been smoking.
I think if we could do this against, bigger teams, like I say, the Premier League sides and Sunderland, we should be doing it too anyway, because I don't regard them much higher than Ipswich at the moment. I think this is a perfect opportunity for us to start using these talents. And I think I'm looking at this pitch and thinking, this is a team for the future as well as now. And I think that it's perfect for the club that we've got so many upcoming talents. I think it's a longevity plan as well. There's no short-term plan with it anymore. It's players who are going to be there for years, who are going to bring this exciting football. And I think we're starting to see that what can come from them.
I think we're a team in purgatory, personally. I think we've got players that want to shine and want to come through the ranks who are young and hungry. And we've got players that are not so good anymore that shouldn't be there still, but are there based on merit of what they've previously won.
Schweinsteiger.
I think we are stuck in purgatory a bit. Not Schweinsteiger, I think Rooney, even possibly arguably Carrick this year. He's looked a little bit off the pace. He's been substituted a few times. We're stuck in limbo at the moment. We've got players that want to play, but I don't think Van Gaal has at the moment the guts to play them in these big games.
I mean, let me just ask you this one, Nick. I was just mentioning there at the start about the 3 goal scorers from last night in United's 3-0 win against Ipswich. I personally couldn't have handpicked a better 3 scorers than Rooney, Pereira and Martial, purely for the reason that Martial wants to keep this run going. Pereira, great young talent that we want to see more of, and Wayne Rooney, obviously in a really poor vein of form in front of goal. Absolutely ideal. When I saw that team against Ipswich last night, I was disappointed initially, but I kind of see what LVG was going for now, because as it worked out, I can see that being a great momentum builder and confidence builder. I don't know if you saw that the same way.
Well, I didn't get a chance to watch the game. I was out playing my five-a-side team that everyone knows about. How
did it go on?
Oh, we won actually.
Oh, well done, mate.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thanks.
But back to the actual game that was played.
The real game. Yeah. I personally thought Wilson would have had a chance, and maybe Lingard. I was surprised he wasn't even in the squad. I thought that was a little harsh. Obviously, there was no word on Rocco. I don't think he played, did he? I don't know where he is. I think him and LVG maybe fell out again, so that's not looking good. It just made the thing that it's its game. It was a good performance. We got the result. We're through to next round, but it raises a big question about various players' futures. Obviously, Nick Powell's been long forgot about. I don't think anyone remembers him at the moment, considering he scored a wonder goal against Wigan about 18 months back. We've got James Wilson, who was supposed to go out on loan. We've got Sam Johnson, who wanted to go out on loan, and then we've got Jesse Lingard. We've got 4 young players there. And I don't have a clue what LVG wants to do with them.
There's no reason that our starting 11 shouldn't include some of the familiar faces, like you say, for a confidence builder. We can't go out every week expecting these players to play against these big teams and always maintain the same confidence levels. And I think you go and put something out like that, like Rooney getting another goal. He scored a hat-trick against a smaller team. I think hopefully this will start introducing Rooney's kind of, you have to get a rhythm back, and I think that's what was missing from Rooney, and hopefully he's going to start doing that against Sunderland.
I just thought these next 2 games, Ipswich and Sunderland, it was potential there to play the likes of Jesse Lingard, Pereira, who did play essentially, Martial, all the young players, just play them. It's a Mickey Mouse competition. You shouldn't say that, but I don't care about it. I'd give the youngsters a chance, and then it'll build some momentum because they'll gain confidence from it. And then we've got Sunderland at home, who are arguably the worst team in the league. It's the prime time to play these sort of players, and instead he's throwing Rooney in. I just don't see the point of it. You know what you're going to get from Rooney. Everyone knows what you're going to get from Rooney.
I mean, I was happy to see the squad in the end, having come out the other side of the fixture. I think it could build momentum, and you look at the fixtures beyond Sunderland, which we'll go on to in more detail later on. There are some big games coming up for United, and I think if you can get Rooney back scoring, even if it is against the smaller teams in a lesser competition, I still think that's massive, for the squad. Although I do pick up on Nick's point, Joe. Wilson and Lingard, LVG comes out and says that he doesn't need them for that game.
I went to the game last night, and I turned up a tiny bit early, and I thought, I saw the coaches turn up, and I was waiting there, and all the players walked past me except for Wilson and some of the other youngsters like Lingard. And they walked past me in their suit, and I thought, well, that's the end of that one, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, but I do think that, there's chances to play Wilson. I think there's going to be more chances to play him. We've got, like you said, we've got Middlesbrough in the draw. So there's another chance.
If you're not playing him against Ipswich at home, then when are you playing him?
Well, we've got, like I said, you're going to need, when we've just come from 3-2, to get another win, and then to go to Sunderland and win, and then big games to come. We've got Arsenal after that. So to have that streak.
But against Sunderland, he'll play essentially a reasonably close team to what he played against Ipswich. There's no sort of dynamic change in it. It's just the same team.
I don't understand why should there be in the current.
Because you've got a crop of young players that want to play a game in front of Old Trafford. You're playing
with
against
the way
a lower...
we've started the season, though, we have to build some sort of rhythm to that
I know,
team.
I take that point on board, but when you're playing against opposition like Ipswich, who weren't even going to field a full strength team,
made 11 changes.
Yeah, you have to give these kids a chance, and to leave them in the stands and not even name them on the squad, I think it's poor man management. Personally,
I do think that maybe we should have brought them on, probably second half. Just to kill the game off.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying. But I don't think in the stands.
I don't think starting Wilson and all the youngsters. I think you still have to have some of them solid players. I think to keep that, like I say, you talk about philosophy every week, and that's where it's coming from. That structure, and we're trying to build on that structure, and to have them players playing Bin Smalling, keeping them getting used to each other, keeping them flowing together. I think that's important rather than making them alien to each other come Saturday.
Just a bit more of an experimentation. That's all I mean.
Could I just come back in on this though, because with the Wilson situation in particular, the problem I have with that is that if Wilson is not seen as good enough, firstly, should he not have been loaned out so that he could go and get experiences, which is what we talked about pre-season? And number two, if he's not seen as good enough overall by Louis van Gaal by now, why have we left ourselves so short in terms of attacking options?
I don't think that he's not good enough to play against Ipswich. I do think there's got to be a reason that LVG picked that side. And I think maybe it's for the fans as well, a bit of get another win in the bag. Maybe it's for the team. Who knows? But Wilson clearly, he didn't play in the under-21 squad, did he, this week?
I think it's a sign.
He did. He did play.
I think it's a sign of a man who doesn't trust his younger players, personally. That's my opinion. But
I think LVG's philosophy, another 50p in the jar there, but
that word.
In my opinion, from what I'm seeing of it, it's not the same sort of thing that he would have put into place in his previous jobs, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, in that because he knows he's retiring, it's more about instant success and grinding out results to get an instant sort of success going at United.
I totally agree
rather
with
than building with the future.
You've got to acknowledge how arrogant LVG is. There would not be a little part inside him that wants to go out on a high.
But you not see all these young players. The players on the pitch weren't of age. There's not many on the pitch.
We had Pereira.
Pereira was out there.
Martial
came on off the bench though.
Memphis
again off the bench though.
But these players are all young players and they're still getting their chance. We're forgetting that we played young Valencia. Yeah, they haven't had a game this season really. To be honest, they haven't really had much impact.
I think
to give them their first, Valencia's first start. It's got to be important to start bringing the old faces with the new faces and start bringing them together.
I think we're catering for LVG's ego.
I think we are to a degree as well. I see problems in that, and I don't think you're seeing LVG's philosophy in the way you would have 5, 10, 15 years ago.
The Fergie days, when we played, the Carling Cup, we played youngsters. We threw youngsters on. I think the De Silva twins made a debut in the Carling Cup.
There was a game against Arsenal. We played 6 centre backs as well. It was experimentation all over the show.
And Fergie did that because he had the guts to do that, and he wasn't scared whether he win, lose, or draw. But part of me thinks LVG is retiring soon, 18 months' time. He does want to go out on a high. I don't blame the guy. And I think United will suffer for that, hence why we played Rooney, Smalling, all our established first-team players against a lower division Ipswich and had youngsters sat in the stands.
Yeah, fair point. Joe, Middlesbrough is up next for United, of course. We've got them at Old Trafford in the 4th round of the League Cup. How much of a success would you see it if United were to win the League Cup?
Well, I don't want it to be an excuse to say, we won a trophy this year. I think that I wouldn't mind if we weren't in it. That's what I'm trying to say, that it doesn't make any difference to the club if we win it or not. But I think it would be nice if we did win something this year. And I think that if we could win the League Cup, win the Premier League, and, these things are important. And I think that we've got to start winning. We've got to be a squad that wants to win. Like you say, you've got these youngsters in the squad. You need to start showing them what it is like to win trophies in England. I think that's important to start introducing that.
Yeah.
So another competition would not hurt United's players to win.
Breeding success into a club is never a bad thing, even at that sort of level. But Nick, is that all United should be aiming for, given the weaknesses that we have compared to our rivals, do you think?
No. United should always be aiming for the top, even if we can't do it. I think keeping De Gea fit is essential, possibly getting a centre-back in January, whoever's available. Obviously, the January market's a lot different to the summer market. But if we can sort of stay within touching distance of City between now and January, and possibly get a reinforced centre back in the January window, then and keep De Gea fit, obviously, then I can see us challenging for the title. On obviously we're going to be the underdog, but I can see us an outside shout, especially if Martial keeps his form up.
There you go. If you've got any thoughts on anything discussed in this week's United chat, do get in touch with us. We're at WeFollowUnited on Twitter, of course, and comment below on the video. Next up, it's time for you, the fans, to take over. Some big debates to be had. Can Rooney and Mata play in the same starting 11? That and much, much more coming up next. This week then, on Monday afternoon, as we do every single Monday, we put some of the big debates and big questions out there to you United fans to see what you have to say on some of those issues. Now, we're going to start with this one, and we're going to have a bit of a run through some of the votes and some of the opinions on Twitter first, Nick. We have got some callers, hopefully, that should be joining us during the fan takeover for their opinions as well. But we started with this debate. Does David De Gea paper over huge defensive issues at United? Now, we had a brief chat around this in United chat, but I want to go into a little bit more detail on what I mean by this. We've mentioned about frailties of Daley Blind potentially. Missing Shaw is changing the way our defensive shape seems to be working already. And I just think when you see a player of De Gea's class in goal still conceding that many chances and goals, we've mentioned it before, you can't be that heavily reliant on a goalkeeper to produce that many saves.
He's got player of the season for us. I think it's last 2 seasons.
Exactly.
I think that tells it all.
It does, really. And so we can't be having that reliance anymore. That's just my opinion. But we asked, does David De Gea paper over huge defensive issues at United? We put a vote out there, and Nick, 75% of the fans said no.
Yeah, I'm very surprised at that, personally.
That is very high.
If you break it down for what it is, how many keepers in the Premier League could save, some of the chances that we're susceptible to? And there's not a lot. You can talk about Cech, maybe, Courtois, Lloris. These are the top 3, 4, 5 keepers in the league. So if we didn't have that, if we had a Romero still in net, for example, we lose those chances and we concede and we get beat, i.e. Swansea.
Yeah. Looking at some of the people who got involved in the debate on Twitter here, at Copious Opium, that's Ryan, of course, says, any disruption to a defence will cause problems, which is fair enough comment. But he's put, let's not forget we kept 3 clean sheets with Romero in goal. It's probably a fair point. Should we give time for the defence to settle?
Yeah, possibly, but I think you always need a world-class goalie, even being honest, just to save the defence, and I think our defence isn't the greatest.
Well, we've got someone on the line at the moment who's joining us for the fan takeover. He's been on a couple of times, always great to speak to. We've got Joggy on the line. We're going to throw him straight into this debate. Joggy, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you guys?
Yeah, not too bad.
Very well. Joggy, we're just in the midst of our first topic of discussion from the fan takeover this week, which was the David De Gea issue. Does he paper over huge defensive issues at United? We've just had a little bit of a chat around it, and 75% of the fans seems to think that he isn't papering over cracks at United in terms of our defensive work. We've just heard from Ryan on Twitter who said about disruptions to our defence with the Shaw issue, etc., always going to be likely to cause problems. Where do you stand on the De Gea thing, Joggy? Do you think that he is papering over issues at United underlying, or do you think that we're fine as we are?
I don't. I think our defence is coming along a lot better than last year. We've got players in multifunctional positions. I think we're stocked up pretty well in case we do get an injury, with Phil Jones making a return yesterday. So I don't think it's we're not. I wouldn't say we're the best defence in Europe, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. Even with Shaw out, we do have players that can play left back with Rojo and Blind. So with Jones coming back, we do. I think it's De Gea. Thing is with De Gea is he makes fantastic saves, but like you just previously mentioned, we did keep clean sheets with Romeo.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to have a world-class goalkeeper in goal, and you have to rely on your keeper to pull you out of certain situations. Just in our opinion, not as regularly as De Gea has to, is the way I look at it. I mean, where do you think Joggy would be without David De Gea?
I don't think we would be second.
Yeah.
But I think he it's like any top team. in Europe will dominate possession, and your keeper will only be required to make 2-3 saves in a match, and that's when they are required to really pull out the saves. Without De Gea, I think we would have lost on Sunday, but overall, I think we've done very well to keep him. I think the board did very well in how they played the transfer with De Gea, stood their ground, and I think it's positive. We've got him for this year. We'll see what happens in the summer, but overall, I think everything's moving in the right direction.
Fair comment. Just whilst we're on the subject, before we move on to the second topic that I want to get your opinion on, Joggy, let me just ask you this then. We've got plenty of defensive options, you're saying. If you had the option of choosing our back four, in an ideal world, everyone fit, what's your back four?
The back four that started the season: Darmian, Smalling, Blind, and Shaw.
Okay. It's a good back four, but
I wasn't as convinced with the back four until I saw Blind against Liverpool, which he was very impressive. And as I've watched him more and more, he reads and dictates the back four's positioning very well. He reminds me of a Mascherano at Barcelona and how they used Mascherano in midfield as a fake centre-back who can move into midfield and create the extra person if we are losing and we need the extra possession in midfield going forward.
I can see that side of it. I mean, I mentioned about the Mascherano thing a couple of weeks ago, and it is in that sort of similar way. He's obviously the smaller of the two, slightly better educated of the two in terms of football knowledge, definitely.
If you look at, I think Bayern Munich are starting to use Xavi Alonso in a similar position, if I'm not mistaken. There is a game where they didn't even use any centre-backs. They used
no, you're dead right.
So in the European game, a lot of teams are starting to adopt a defensive midfielder into the centre-back position, which creates a fake centre-back moving into midfield and a ball-playing defender moving forward. And to create that extra person, it's quite tactical because I was reading up on it. It is quite the way Barcelona are the prime example that have used that very well.
Absolutely. I'm going to move on to the next topic, and I'm actually going to bring another caller that we've got on the line. You'll recognise his voice very well from the United stand. We've got the one and only Mark Goldbridge on the line. Mark, are you there?
I am, Andy. How you doing? All right?
I'm very well, Mark. Are you okay?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Mark, it's great to have you back on. It's been a while, but we wanted to get some thoughts going on this. So if you and Joggy want to throw opinions in as and when you want, please do get involved on the question. But the next debate that we had this week on Twitter, interesting one, caused a bit of a stir. Can Mata and Rooney play in the same team? Mark, 75% of the fans said yes, they think Mata and Rooney can play in the same team. In your opinion, does it give United enough pace to play the two? And secondly, what is your opinion on the question?
It's a good one to come back to. My instant reaction, and I always go with that, is yes, they can. But there are factors involved in that. Mata has had his chance at number 10. I said it last season when Rooney got sent off. He had his chance. It didn't work out. I think he probably needs a run of about 5 to 10 games to get into that 10 role. He's never going to get that. Quite like him on the right-hand side, but a lot depends on who plays at right back with him. The problem at the moment is, and I have backed Rooney this season, but he has been very bad, and I'll admit that. If Rooney starts playing well in the number 10 position, with Martial and Memphis and Mata to the right, then that can work, no problem at all. I think Mata, he brings so much in the goals to games ratio as well. But I think they can do it, but I think it's all about Rooney's form, and Rooney's been off form this season. And I think Mata, in fairness to him, has sort of nailed down that right side position, because there has been times early on with Louis van Gaal where you thought Mata was going to be on the fringes. And I think he has hammered that position down.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I think they can work, and I think they should be given that opportunity, because Mata brings so much to the team.
They absolutely should. Now, Joggy, Mark mentions about with the Mata issue, he's only played one game there. Yes, he was poor in that game, but we know that's his position, that's his best role. If you give Mata a chance and say, you play in the number 10 role, do you then put Rooney up front? Can you see this team building Rooney up front, Mata holding him behind, Martial perhaps on the right, Memphis on the left? Is that something that excites you, Joggy?
I think I agree with Matt. I think Rooney's been very poor. I think we're really carrying him at the moment. He needs to be dropped. Mata needs to move into 10, because Mata works well at 10 when you give him runners, because he's not quite quick himself. the problem we've got is that at the moment we're getting away with Mata on the right. Even if you look on Sunday, Mata drifted in a lot, and that's when we were starting to look like something was happening. If you look at the first goal we scored, Mata was involved. If you look at the corner,
he was offside, but he was there.
If you look at the corner when he played Schreiderlin in, which went for a deflection, he was involved a lot. The problem is at the moment Rooney is carrying him. He's not looking. He looks really slow. He looks to me like he's lost a couple of yards of pace. He doesn't look sharp. But again, on Sunday, if you notice, when Schweinsteiger came on, he started playing a bit better, but he goes out of position too much as well. Sometimes he's in midfield, he's on the right. He needs to stick to one position.
Yes, fair enough comment, Joggy. I mean, just pick up on a point you raised there as well with Mark. I want to get you back involved on this. Just mentioning about sort of we have been carrying Rooney in parts, and I know you're backing Rooney, Mark, but there's no getting away from it. He has been exceptionally poor. One thing I noticed last night, though, when we played the ball more direct, especially in the case that Daley Blinn's pass is played more directly into Rooney, he gets the goal from it. If you're going to play Mata and Rooney in the same team, Mark, is it the case that we just need to get the ball into them more directly rather than slow build-up in behind them?
Yeah, and I think Rooney definitely. I mean, I got on Fellaini's back last night, and one of the things we're going to discuss on our show is is Fellaini and what does he offer us now? And I think yesterday that was a massive problem because you put Fellaini in that team, he slows the team down. You can't play the ball through him to Rooney. So yeah, we should have gone more direct yesterday because Rooney obviously benefited from that, as does Mata, and it can become quite lethargic, left to right, right to left when you've got a number 10 who effectively was Fellaini yesterday. Rooney would benefit up front with Mata behind him, and I think Mata would benefit with somebody like Rooney ahead of him, but that's not going to happen at the moment because we've got the young French lad.
Absolutely. I'm going to move on to another debate that we had from this week's Fan Takeover, boys, because this is another attacking role that we've got to discuss here. We asked the question, should Pereira start against Sunderland? Now, thankfully, for me and Nick, because we both think that he definitely should, 67% of fans said yes, they think Pereira should start against Sunderland. Obviously had a good game against Ipswich in parts last night. Obviously got himself a goal, which was great. Joggy, are you starting Pereira against Sunderland?
Yes, I'll move Mata in, move Pereira onto the right. I wouldn't play Rooney against Sunderland at all. I think we need to take him on the firing line. Every game he's not scoring, the pressure just keeps building. I think Rooney will score. At the moment, I just think we need to take him on the fighting line, play Pereira, and I think he'll be... but yeah, I do think he should start on the Saturday. Okay,
interesting point. Mark, same question to you, and to add to that, Joggy's dropping Rooney.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is yes, but it won't happen, and I'm more concerned. I think a more pertinent question is, will Pereira actually get a space on the bench? Because I can't see where he's going to get it. What will happen on Saturday is he'll play Martial with Rooney behind him, and he'll play Mata and Memphis. And it's whether Pereira should start the game. I agree with everybody saying that. He certainly should be on the bench. I've got a big feeling he won't be because underperforming Fellaini. When you look at our bench over the last while, it's really hard to even make it on there. I don't think he'll be in the matchday squad, which is ridiculous. But yeah, definitely should start. But I think he's going to struggle to be anywhere near the squad.
I know exactly what you're saying. I mean, you see him starting the lineup against Ipswich last night, and you think, oh God, is that the end of his chances of playing against Sunderland now? Is this the game that he's choosing to play him in?
Yeah.
And you just worry again with Pereira. I mean, we talked about him all pre-season, built him up. He was superb pre-season. We get to the start of the season and Van Gaal completely forgets about him. Absolutely ludicrous, really. Just the final debate I want to quickly move on and get some opinions on before I let you guys go is about Memphis, because we've not really touched upon him too much recently, but we've just been talking about Pereira getting a start. Joggy's saying, perhaps drop Rooney to get him in the squad. I mean, we've asked the question this week, is, with the way Memphis has played, he was slightly better against Southampton, but do you think he should be dropped, Joggy, and should we perhaps bed Memphis into the team to ease the pressure on him? He's had early doors.
I do, yeah. I think he's not been very good in the league, personally. He's had little glimpses, but the thing is he keeps trying to cut inside. He needs to run down the byline. If you look against Liverpool, he wasn't very good, and as soon as Young came on and ran Klein down the line, we started looking a lot better. I think he's under... But the thing is, Van Gaal's given him a lot of game time, so I think it's just the belief that he will come good. It's a better league, but at the moment it is a winning team. So I don't think too many changes will happen. We came off a defeat against Swansea and we went against Liverpool and we went against Southampton. So I don't think we will see too many changes. But at some point, I do think we need to kind of take him out of the firing line and just freshen it up. So, because Young does give us a good option as well on that left-hand side, as we saw against Liverpool.
In terms of work rate, certainly. I mean, his end product has been absolutely appalling, but I know exactly what you're saying. At least you know what you're sort of getting from him. And at least he can run on the outside.
Yeah, with Memphis, we're not even getting an end product. He's giving the ball away that often. It's unbelievable. At least with Young, right, his crosses are not the best. He's giving us something. But here, Memphis isn't really giving us much, even if you look on Sunday.
Sorry, I'm just going to jump in here.
Here comes producer Joe into the fray.
I'm
enjoying it as well, really.
With Memphis, do you not think this is LVG's fault? Do you not think that Young has been under Ferguson, and you look at the players who have been under LVG, they are stopping before the halfway line? Do we think it's LVG's fault? Because I don't think Memphis is that type of player to be stopping, passing the ball back.
Mark, I'll let you take that one.
Is he being discouraged by LVG, or is it because Young's just ignoring that?
Same thing about Rooney, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Joggy says is right. He does come in on his right-hand side way too much, but also he is getting doubled up more than any other player because he's got this reputation, probably unfairly, of being this world star before he's even settled into the Premier League. So he is up against a lot. But I think he misses Luke Shaw a lot because of that overlap, the pace of Shaw and the ability of Shaw being able to compensate with the left foot cross. But I've seen Memphis play for Holland, and even though Holland weren't doing very well, he was putting crosses in with his left foot perfectly. So I don't know why he's doing that. I think it's a really good point about Louis van Gaal. I looked at Louis van Gaal last season, and he does have very tight, rigid systems for every player. Some players can take a risk, some can't. That's why he doesn't like Herrera. And maybe he is telling Memphis, you've got to keep doing this, you've got to keep doing this. Mata does it on the other side. He's forever coming inside, and they ignore the fullback overlap run so often that if you are defending against him, all you've got to do is defend that cross when they cut in. So yeah, I think it is a bit predictable.
If you look at Liverpool, Mark, you see in the first 10 minutes Memphis does make a few of them crosses, and then at half-time it gets taken off. This is what I'm thinking, is Memphis, is it LVG's fault? Are we putting pressure on Memphis when we should be looking at our manager?
I think it could be partially, because I know the game Mark's referring to is against USA, wasn't it? Where he, on the ball all the time, looks threatening, putting the balls in towards Huntelaar constantly. Great balls in as well. And then you see him at United, Memphis cutting inside Mata constantly. There is no width coming from United at all.
I just think we're just reading way too much into it. I just think we're 5-6 games in. I think he's got a chronic case of he's trying too hard. I don't think there's any more than that.
No, I agree with that. But, I mean, in that respect, then, should we not be sort of bedding him into the squad slowly? Because 100% of the fans, Joggy, said that we shouldn't be dropping, Memphis and sort of trying to bed him in slowly. Is that not a sign, perhaps, that the fans are putting too big an expectation on Memphis too early?
Yeah, I think it is. But one point I want to touch on is
please.
You just have to look at is where we were this time last year and where we are now. We're moving in the right direction. Some people don't like LVG's system, which is fine, but at the end of the day, he's getting results. We're second, and we are moving in the right direction. The football, this style of football he plays, he's always been like this. If you look at him historically, he's always played this kind of rigid system. With Memphis, he's put a lot of faith in him. He paid the money and he's got him in.
Yeah,
he does need development, but I think over time we will see him coming in and out of the team, and I think he will flourish, like we've seen him in the Champions League. I do agree with Mark. They are doubling up on him, but the fans, he's going to be under pressure. He's got the number 7 shirt. It's a lot for him to take on, but I think we'll be fine. There's not to worry about, and I think we will win the league.
He's got the right attitude at Memphis, definitely, to succeed.
There's pros and cons of dropping him as well, isn't there?
There are pros and cons, and I think when we asked the question, perhaps fans saw it in the way of, are we trying to get rid of Memphis too early? What the point we're making is, are we not putting too much pressure too early on Memphis? He has been built up, as Mark says, as though he's a world beater already. I just think it's too early to be saying that either way, so perhaps just bed him into the team, just get him used to playing in that style of play.
I think, what I think is the way LVG is managing some of the players is very good. If you look at Schweinsteiger, the way we've built his fitness up and bringing him in, it's very good. Also, I think he will know when to take him in and out of the team also. When he feels it's just right, move him to the side, he will make that decision.
Absolutely.
Rather than really, really hanging him out to dry. I think he will pull him out when the right right time.
Absolutely brilliant. It's been an absolutely fantastic chat, Joggy and Mark. It's been a pleasure to have you both on. Just before I let you go, guys, just so United fans can get involved in chats with you on Twitter, Joggy, just remind people where they can find you. What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is IamJoggyBQ.
Excellent. Do give him a follow and get involved in United chat. And Mark, remind everyone, if they don't already, where they can follow you.
We're at United Stand MUSC.
Excellent. And they're on tonight and, of course, Sunday night, 9 o'clock. Do tune in. Do give them a follow. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you both, boys.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Speak to you later.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Some absolutely brilliant opinions there from Joggy and Mark.
I enjoyed that. I was
fantastic
just sitting back, relaxing.
Yeah, Nick just taking it all in.
Soaking it all up.
Joe was taking it in for the most part and decided he had to jump in. And
yeah, the minute the main mention of Memphis, he was back.
But that's
got to look after my boy, eh?
Yeah. I think we've wrapped it up on the fan takeover. Thanks for everyone who got involved in that. And that's every Monday, just to let you know, from 12 o'clock. If you have any opinions on anything we fire up on Twitter, just direct messages. Get involved. We want your opinions on the show. Do give us a call. Next up, Joe's putting us under the microscope again as me and Nick go up against the shootout. Here we go then. We've heard from the fans. It's time to hear more from Nick and I, because that's just what you want, isn't it, Joe?
Of course, that's just everyone's crying out for it. Eh?
Everyone's crying out.
My voice is all fresh now, so
you've had a bit of a break in that one.
Yeah.
We sound slightly better than last week, I must be honest.
Last week was a struggle.
Yeah, Nick's had a 15-minute break during a chaotic, fast-flowing fan takeover. What we want from United, really. Well, not the chaotic part, but the fast-flowing parts.
Yeah.
Joe's back. He's joining us to be the question master. And Joe, have you got the questions this week?
Well, yeah, this week. Well, you just saw my mad panic then. I think I was just taking it all in myself, a bit like Nick, and I just ran to get me a piece of paper with all these lovely questions on.
Fantastic. Now, you've got 4 of them as always, haven't you?
Here we go. Yeah,
and,
go on.
And then, of course, we have 1 for yourself because it can't be a shootout without 5.
Right.
That's the catchphrase out the way. So I'll quickly explain to those of you new to the show what the basis of the shootout sort of is. It's essentially Joe fires questions at Nick and I. We've got 30 seconds to answer the question. Once 30 seconds is up, we have to shut up, and then we throw it to the floor. We have a general debate around anything discussed. So, Joe, whenever you're ready, fire away.
This week, I've got it for you, Nick. It's a simple one. Should Pereira start against Sunderland?
Yeah, I knew there was a reason I kept quiet during the fan takeover.
Oh, there you go.
My opinion, yeah. I think he should definitely start. I would too drop Rooney and Memphis. Joe's not going to like that, but I would. I'd give Memphis a rest, and Rooney's never good enough. I'd play Pereira on the right wing and move Mata centrally. I'd have Martial up front. I'd probably play Young on the left wing, possibly. I'd play... I think he deserves his chance. He scored a wonderful free kick against Ipswich. He looked brilliant last season for the reserves. He looked great in the Under-20s World Cup. And if you're not going to play him now, when are you going to play him?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think a lot of the rest of it was covered in the fan takeover opinions.
Yeah,
I've certainly covered my part. Joe, have you got anything to sort of add on the Pereira sort of side of things?
Well, I personally don't want to see him in the squad, and I know
in
that
the
sounds
squad in at all.
No, because I think, like Memphis, you put a lot of pressure on the young players who come into the squad. And I think we've got too many young players in the squad already who have got a lot of pressure on them. And I think to add another one in is just another thing to criticise.
If you take one out, can't you put one in? I.e., if you take Memphis out and put
But you
Pereira
not think
in.
if we're going to take out a player for a more experienced player, you don't take a young player out to replace it with another young player who will get exactly the same stick, the same excuses. Shouldn't we be playing?
But doesn't he deserve a chance though?
Well, he's had his chance.
Has he? What one game against Ipswich?
Do you not think this is a good introduction?
Memphis has started every league game. Do you not think he deserves a chance as well?
The more we produce into the Capital One Cup, do you not think that we can play players like Pereira?
Well, you said Pereira's had a chance. He's had a game against Ipswich Town.
Yeah, exactly. And you get another one against Middlesbrough.
Memphis has played every Premier League game so far and has been relatively poor. So do you not think giving him a break and resting him against the worst team in the Premier League and giving Pereira another chance and 2 games on the run would build confidence of Pereira and possibly see the best out of him?
I think I'd rather see Young than Pereira in the squad. I think that I'd rather see an experienced player.
Bold statement.
I know it sounds odd, but you've got to think what's best for the player. Would we rather leave him somewhere where he can develop under the radar and get better, or put him in the limelight, put him right under the spotlight and get people criticising him, and he go in 12 months' time?
Can I just ask you then, Joe, why not even on the bench? Let's say, Sunderland have been absolutely atrocious. We're going to discuss them more in the weekend preview, but they have been nothing short of absolutely god-awful. If we're 2-3-0 up after 60 minutes, why does Pereira not at least get a sort of half an hour run out?
I don't
Pressure free.
Well, maybe, but I don't think Van Gaal's going to bring a player on with the same amount of flair and the same amount of risk as another player.
Oh, no, I agree with Mark completely. I don't think Pereira will be in the team. I think what Mark said was spot on. I think it'll be Memphis. I think Rooney will be central. Matt will be pushed out on the wing again. I think Martial will be up front. I think it's very predictable.
Is that not a good idea for the squad to start getting a rhythm in? And when we come to Arsenal in a couple of weeks' time, that we have a set formation that we know works and that we know works together.
But when you're playing against a team such as a poor Sunderland side, you should be experimenting.
But is that an excuse just to play other players, or should we be sticking with what we know works?
It's an excuse to rest your players that aren't performing.
There you go. Some big opinions, some big statements being made here. And that's just on Pereira. We've got more to come. That was only question 1, Joe.
Yes, I just glanced down thinking this 4 or 5, 4 more to go.
We keep insulting his boy. We're not allowed to do it.
You've upset me tonight. So, Andy, this one is for you. LVG has been well known for promoting youth internally in the past. Why do you think that hasn't been the case for United?
I did briefly sort of touch on this before within a question more than anything. But I do think it is becoming the case that with Van Gaal, as I was saying, it's sort of this instant gratification. It's not just for LVG, though, I'll say. It's for fans as well. With being United supporters, we have been spoiled in the past, and as a result, we want instant success. Van Gaal wants the same because at the end of the day, 18 months down the line, he is going to be gone. And so I think he's building a structure more around instant success than he is around youth.
Fair enough.
I agree with that completely. I've got nothing more to add to it.
So are we thinking that because... So we're not going to leave in the same situation Ferguson left us, with a squad that can quickly, instantly get a title, and then that's it for the next 3 years. So I don't think that LVG is doing that. I do think he's bringing through young players.
Do you know what? I will agree with something you're saying there, Joe, and I will add to that. Despite the fact that I don't think LVG is particularly building for a young squad coming through and promoting internally, which I think is wrong in parts with some of the talent we have. At the same time, I think... And I don't know what Nick thinks on this, so I'm just going to say it and see what he has to say on it. But
he's been coughing throughout. So
yeah, sorry.
Something stuck in there.
It's probably that stuff from Benidorm. But
suffering.
Yeah. What I would say is, I think when LVG leaves, I think the team that LVG leaves behind will be better than the team that Sir Alex Ferguson left us with.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it'd be very hard. I think one of the part of the reasons we are where we are now is because Fergie did not look after that team for what reason we have. I don't know. He got the best out of a very average set of players.
But I think there's a lot of longevity in this team.
Oh, yeah, there is a lot of longevity. But he made the point, LVG, in a press conference recently, that he signed Martial for the future of Manchester United, for our future manager, Ryan Giggs, which is another point completely. But I totally disagree with that. I don't think there was much in the market. And I think... I don't believe LVG when he said he scouted Martial as long as he made out. I think that's a load of rubbish. I think part of me thinks he was a bit of a panic buy, and it has come good. He's shown his hand, and it's played well so far for LVG.
I mean, Joe, in terms of the sort of promotion of youth, there is more being bought now than brought through. Yeah. As Nick mentions, Martial comes in at 19, bought for 36 mil. Memphis at 21.
Is this not just the modern game?
That's what I was going to ask you. Is that what? Is it simple as that? Is that what's happened?
Yeah, because you look at Chelsea, the only players they've really brought through over the last couple of years is Zuma, and
well, they bought him.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, he didn't come in and make an impact straight away. He did play in his youth team. But I'm saying that
so we buy talented youth and bring that through.
I do think that a lot of teams are now bringing in a younger structure. I mean, you look at players like Crystal Palace, it's a lot of young players who are effective, and I do think that is the way the league's going. It's a young person's game. It's not a slow football. Let pass it round for half an hour and then get a goal. I think that's what we're trying to do, but I do think that a lot of youngsters bring a bit more flair.
I just think it's money's power, and I think all the clubs want instant success. I don't think I could name one player in our starting 11 at the moment who we've actually brought through the ranks. I don't think there's one player in there. If you think of our strongest 11 that LVG's been playing week in, week out, there's no one in there.
We could arguably say we sat with De Gea and we trained him to be the keeper he is.
We signed De Gea, we signed Phil Jones, we signed Smalling. In the past, we had Scholesy, we had Giggsy, we had, obviously that's not going to happen again.
You're not going to see an academy like that again, are you?
That's a once in a lifetime thing.
City's academy is looking ever the stronger, isn't it, with all their kids going
the facilities are brilliant.
I just don't think you're going to see the players coming through of that quality still, though. The facilities are amazing, but I don't think you're ever going to see that again.
They've got Ani Nacho, I think you call him.
Yeah.
Is he Nigerian?
Yep. He's a decent player. But I don't think you're going to see a crop like that. So perhaps, with the class of 92, maybe that's blinkered us slightly on what we should expect. Maybe modern football has changed and maybe we just need to embrace that that's happened.
Yeah, well, I was born 3 years after that, luckily, so I've had the privilege of watching these youngsters come through.
Absolutely.
So, next question is for you, Nick, with the topic of youngsters and how effective they're becoming. Is Martial becoming our number one striking option?
I don't think he's becoming our number one striking option. He is our number one striking option. I think if you take him out of the team now, we lack pace, we lack urgency, and we lack that. He's quite a good finisher. We like that as well. That's only going to get better as he gets older. We're looking a lot better with him in the side. We're stretching defences. We're making him cause mistakes. I always come back to that Zoot from PSV when Martial chased him down and it made him hurry up. It made him make an error, and that obviously led to a chance. If we didn't have that and we still had Rooney up front, we'd still see the lethargic, slow football that we've seen when Rooney plays in the central position.
Yeah. No, I mean, we haven't touched upon Martial really that much tonight, but I think it's worth giving him a mention now. What I absolutely love about Martial, and it is early doors, so let's not try and overhype too much, but what I really love about him is because he's introduced pace back into the United attack, we're now stretching the pitch, and that's giving us a lot more time to play in between the lines.
I said when Memphis came on, it was the first time. Well, a lot of people probably didn't have the privilege of watching it, but it was the first time I think we actually saw our wingers as such making them runs, and I think it was nice to see that a player can come on and have that much effect to a team. It's similar to what Rooney did to us when he first turned up, what Ronaldo did to us when he first turned up. It's a player that has instant effect on the whole squad.
Yeah. The key with Martial is not to get carried away. Obviously, I think he's going to be a brilliant.
We all love to get carried away.
Personally, I think he's going to be a big player. I think he's got it all at the moment. He looks like he's got the right head on his shoulders. They mentioned it. Gary Neville saying that when he scores a goal, he looks cold. He doesn't look like it's phased him. He doesn't look overjoyed about it. He just looks like he's meant to score. I'm very excited. I think he's got a big future. And I think potentially he could be our striker for the next 10 years potentially.
He could be, certainly, if he stays around and he has the sort of right attitude about him. Certainly, as you say, the way he sort of kept his head when scoring big goals in big moments in games as well.
It was the composure for that Southampton goal. He's 19 years old.
Never looked like he was going to miss either,
he did a little Cruyff turn and then finished it.
And the second one with the back pass as well. The back pass comes into it. If that had been anyone else on the pitch at United, you'd have had some doubt on them finishing it. But there was not a moment's doubt that was going in.
The thing what I like about him most is he waits for the keeper to drop. He watches the keeper. I was sat right behind the net, and even I couldn't tell which way he was going to put it. He hasn't decided himself. He watches the keeper. Keeper makes his move, and then he slots it. It's a clever player. It's a player that we haven't seen really been able to put away balls like that for quite a while. It's not. It's just the way he thinks, and I think that we've missed someone who can think.
He uses his pace at the right time as well. You rarely see him.
He's clever with it.
Out and out sprint. He'll jog around for a bit. He'll try and get a sort of a sense of the defenders. He'll try and see which one he wants to play off first.
Almost goes missing.
Yep. He does. He vanishes for 20 minutes. He picks a defender that he wants to stick to, who he's got the pace on, who he's got the power on. And like Virgil van Dijk, he gave him a bit of a run around. And I think Van Dijk said after the game he didn't play against anyone like that in Scotland.
Well, I don't think he would have done, to be fair. No. But what I liked about it even more was, Martial puts him on the deck with cramp and then goes and helps him with it. He's absolutely super. What a guy! What a guy! But I really do think he could be a genuine talent for the future. It is difficult not to get overhyped when he hits the ground running like that.
But the goal drought will come.
Of course it will.
And when we do, we just have to get behind him.
It's just how he sticks with that then, how he plays through that.
Well, this is it. I mean, we've been known to not get behind our strikers with goal droughts, and I think it's time that things start changing.
I know where he's going with this. when the goal droughts happened since 2011, that's why we get fed up with it.
Well, yeah, but again, with Rooney, I mean, at the age of 29, you do not become United's top 3 goal scorer, top England's top goal scorer without talent, and I do think that these players, like Martial, will need that backing, like Rooney needs that backing.
Fair comment.
I just wonder if Rooney would get in Chelsea's or City's team.
Andy,
That's another debate entirely.
Yeah.
You're putting bait out to the wrong person here.
Andy, one more for you.
Go on.
Ashley Young started for at left back for the Ipswich game.
Yeah.
Could this be an option for LVG going forward?
I think it certainly could be. I mean, we've mentioned the point about missing sort of shape without Shaw in the team against Southampton. And I think it was something that was used rather well by LVG last year. When we switched from the 3 centre-backs to a flat back 4 again, Ashley Young I actually thought was better in the back 4 than he was in the flat 3 with the wing-backs. I think he adds sort of more pace to it, directness. He will overlap as well, which I think is absolutely key with the problems caused by Memphis constantly cutting inside.
One thing I will say about Ashley Young, I agree with everything he said, but he will. If he gets told to do something by the manager, he will do it. He does a job. He runs up and down that flank, and I don't have any issue with him playing at left back. I think he'd be brilliant for us.
I don't at all. I think he'd do a brilliant job. And
he spends most of his time near the left back position anyway.
That's a very good point. He tracks back very well.
So yeah, I don't see a problem. Obviously, he won't be as. I'm not saying he'd be as good as Shaw. I don't think he'd be the best left back in the league.
No.
But like Blind, he will do a job.
Yep. Could be another stopgap. A defence full of them, Joe. I mean, out of the left back options we have, do you think Young is a viable sort of option as a left back?
Well, I said to you before early in the show, I hadn't read this one, but I do think that he works well there purely because it's another option for the overlap. And I think it widens our play like Martial does. So I don't see it as an issue, but I do see it as it takes a bit of that. He's not a defender, is he? He's not there to win balls back. He's there for another attacking option, and that's only possible because we're playing a small team like Ipswich. You wouldn't see Young at left back against Arsenal, City, Chelsea. It just wouldn't happen because there's that much defending going on that Young he'd go missing in a game and he'd take a lot of stick for it. So. No, I don't think he would be an option for the future. I think he's just a quick option for the smaller teams to get us a bit of confidence.
I mean, it's only a near-going future until Shaw returns. You look at the fitness and possible other problems going on between Rojo and LVG.
6 to 9 months for sure, though, aren't you?
Yeah, you are, yeah. It is a long time, and you need something to fill that gap. And if you want Blind to stay at centre-back, which I think for the time being he will be until we sign someone, or until Phil Jones
I think
steps
we'll sign
up if he ever does.
I think we'll sign someone in January.
I think we might be forced into, definitely.
I can see it happen.
But where does that... Are we talking of signing a centre-back?
I think just predominantly a centre-back, yeah. I don't think we'll sign it. The January transfer window is incredibly difficult to sign a player.
No, because obviously teams have got their team set, so you're not going to pull a first-team player out of position.
You can, but you have to pay ridiculously over the odds. So I think we will get someone in the summer. I don't think there'll be a world-class defender, but I think we will.
Let's hope it's another Mata moment where he comes in for 30 million. Someone as good as that for that cheap.
I'd be very happy with that, yeah. But
yeah, if David Moyes fancies coming back in the chopper one last time with a good signing in there, I won't argue with that.
Exactly.
Joe, we'll go with question 5 then, which of course goes to yourself and also goes out to the fans. You'll see this in the comments section below the video, so comment away when you see it. But Joe, with Arsenal, of course, as we mentioned, coming up, Everton as well, Crystal Palace in the next 3 away games, and of course Manchester City at home following the Sunderland game. Where do you see United's season standing at the end of October?
Well, it's a tough run of games, but we've had a nice easy start to the season, I'd say. We've had a few mid-table teams to contend with. But no, I do think that United will come out big and strong as we always do. And I think we've always been giant killers in a way over the last few years. But when we've been a smaller team in the top 7 of the table, we've still beat these bigger teams. And I don't think that'll change. I do think we know how to beat these teams. I think LVG knows how to beat the bigger teams, and I think it's easy for us to do it.
Are you referring to Liverpool as one of the mid-table teams we faced?
Yeah.
Nice.
No, I think that LVG has his knowledge of the league starts with the top. Obviously, it had to start with the top. So I think he has studied the top of them leagues and he knows how to beat them.
And he learned it well last season with a worse squad as well.
If we're still within 3 points of City come end of October, I'd be rather happy.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at that run of fixtures, I mean, fixtures always look harder on paper, but that is difficult.
City are by far the best team in the league. I'm not going to argue. It'd be stupid to argue that. They're at top of the league right now. Come the end of October, if we're still within 2 or 3 points of them like we are now, I'd pat on the back all round. I think that's a very good job by LVG and the boys.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment as well. Is a difficult run of fixtures. Let us know your thoughts, as I say, in the comments below on that one, on the video as well. We will put it on Twitter as well at We Follow United. And Nick has really thrown us in at the deep end on this one. But as well as the 5 questions to make up the shootout, I see a bonus question written down here, Nick.
I'll let you read this one for once, Nick.
Yeah, go on, Nick.
Can I ask anyone?
Yeah, throw it to the floor.
Well, I'll choose Andy first, obviously, because I'm sat with him, sadly. Andy.
You don't say this when the mics are off.
I know, just... Where do you see James Wilson, in 12 months' time?
Well, there's a reason we don't let you ask the questions often, isn't there? Where do I see Wilson in 12 months' time? I see Wilson potentially getting the loan move that he should have got previously. I don't see him near the United team because 12 months down the line we'll have had another January, we'll have had a January window, we'll have had a summer window. And I think United will have to strengthen up front because Martial and Rooney as a forward 2 with Wilson as backup is not going to be good enough. LVG's made it quite clear he's not in his plans, and so I see Wilson at another club.
Could he be sold?
I think it'd be stupid to sell him.
Would it be another Welbeck moment where fans are a bit upset about it, but it wouldn't be that bad?
Fans get over it.
I think fans would be more upset with a Wilson sale than Welbeck.
Because Wilson's unseen. Not many fans, we've not seen enough of him. We saw Welbeck for 2 or 3 years and we knew he was a donkey. So,
But yeah, we've not seen Wilson given a fair crack of the whip.
I saw him once. He was described as a Tommy gun.
I mean, we won't give you 30 seconds on this, Joe, but I mean, what are your sort of thoughts on Nick's question for the bonus question that he's thrown in here? He's really thrown it out, hasn't he?
Well, like I said, I think it would be, if he was to be sold, then I do think it would be one of them Welbeck moments. I don't think that it would make much difference to the club in the long term, but I think we'd be upset in the short term. I think you'd think it's a bad bit of business, but you would forget about it, depending on which club he'd go to. I don't think he's going to anywhere big if he does get sold.
I was thinking about approaching it from a more European angle. You notice that a lot of Spanish teams, Italian teams, German teams, they loan players for multiple seasons, 2, maybe 3 years. I'd potentially loan him for 2 seasons.
That's something that has become growingly sort of more popular,
just
hasn't it?
To see how he did for 2 seasons. I'd offer him a new contract at United and then send him on loan to a Premier League club or even abroad, even to gain some experience.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair comment. I think Wilson has it in his locker to achieve. It's whether or not he can make that sort of step up.
Yeah.
He has sort of shown it at under 21 level, but never sort of done it in the Premier League on the rare occasion he's been sort of given that opportunity. So a bit of a difficult one, I guess. But again, we'll put it out there on Twitter to you guys at We Follow United. That's Nick's bonus question.
Oh, thank you.
Where will James Wilson be
Andy.
in 12 months' time? That's all from the shootout for this week. We've just got the weekend preview to finish the show. That's going to be, of course, looking forward to the Sunderland game and some score predictions to come. That's up next in the weekend preview. Saturday then at 3 o'clock, it's Manchester United against Sunderland from Old Trafford. And Nick, we've had a few choice words to say about the way Sunderland have started the season. There really is no better way to be building up momentum for the season than this game, is there?
No, I think Sunderland are absolutely woeful. I think you'd agree on that, Andy. I think Joe would agree on that. I think we all agree on that. Yunus Kabul especially. I mean,
it might be a good thing for them in some respects, but they're actually going to be missing Yunus Kabul because he got sent
disguise,
off.
Isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
I think we should be looking to put 3, maybe 4 goals past Sunderland. If we struggle against them, I think there's obvious problems, but I generally don't think we will. I'm not really anxious about the game. I'm not nervous about the game. I'm taking it in my stride. I think we'll beat them. I think it'll be an easy game at the end of the day.
I think we'll be missing the boat on the chance to sort of set sail on a successful season, if you like. If we don't get a win in this game, with the games we've just discussed coming up in the shootout there, this is a must-win game.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. No game in the Premier League is easy, but they are by far the worst team I've seen in the Premier League. But they will still throw everything they have at United on Saturday. They will treat it like a cup final. Dick Advocaat at the end of the day, he's fighting for his job. he could potentially go if things don't go his way in the next couple of weeks, next couple of games. They've had some terrible
Most teams
results.
are known for picking up their game against United as well, lest we forget.
Every single week it's a cup final for whoever we play against.
And so, where do you see threats, if any, from Sunderland? Is there anything you think we should be worrying about?
No, this is the thing. I don't see any. I don't think they've reinvested well. Obviously, they've got Jermaine Defoe there, who is naturally a very good footballer, but he is getting on a bit. And I think if we contain him, I can't see an out-and-out threat to their team.
And looking at the midfield as well, that Unvia that they have, of course, is a decent player.
He was a big name 3 or 4 years ago, but I don't think he ever did it.
Should be swallowed by our midfield, surely.
Yeah, you'd like to think so. I think they're one of the favourites to go down, and even being honest with you.
Yeah, they have to be. So what team then would you sort of look to go for to start against Sunderland? Where sort of is the best way for us to go in this game?
I'd use that word again. It's becoming another naughty word. Experimentation.
It is becoming a naughty
word.
word.
Obviously, I'd play the main man of the moment, Martial up front. That's his first name on the team sheet at the moment. Mata'd be behind him for me. Obviously, I don't think this is going to happen, but Pereira would be on the right wing. I'd play Young on the left wing. I'd play Schweinsteiger and Schneiderlin in the midfield. I'd probably play Rocco at left back if he's not falling out with Van Gaal. Blind and Smalling at centre back. Darmian at right back, and obviously Dave the Save in net.
Yeah, I can't see much wrong with that squad at all. I think Schneiderlin and Schweinsteiger would absolutely boss that game.
Yeah.
We're well known for controlling the game against bigger teams, so I think if we control the game in the same way we do, I think we just need to play a little bit more direct into feet with one matter if you're going to play him there. Rooney if he plays, whichever one's going to play.
And obviously with that sort of formation, if things aren't going our way, and for some unknown reason we're getting beat or we need a goal, we've got Rooney on the bench, we've got Memphis on the bench, all rested and ready to go.
It'd be good to have options from the bench. You've also got Herrera to come in there for attacking.
I'd like to see Herrera get more of a game time, to be honest with you, but I think Mark said it before in the fan takeover, he's one of those players that takes risks, and that's not an LVG type player.
Absolutely. Let's look at score predictions then to end the weekend preview. We have a league going. It is 1 point for the correct result, 3 points for the correct scoreline. I am due to put the table up. I'll probably update it after the weekend if I'm being completely honest. But we'll get some from the fans first of all. We've got a couple in here. At Cogsy666 has gone 3-0 United. This is probably the worst team we've played so far this season. Cannot disagree with him. And at C Clay 1978 United, that of course Chris Clay, one of the regulars to the show.
Mr. Positive.
Mr. Positive,
yeah,
as always. He's going big. United win 5-0. Incredible.
Yeah, it's classic.
Quick start and watch us fly, he adds to it. Absolutely brilliant from Chris, as always. Now let's get some from inside the studio, just to get our opinions on this. Joe, we're going to bring you back in on this.
Hello.
Joe,
Hi,
hello.
Joe.
So, score prediction, Saturday 3 o'clock against Sunderland at Old Trafford. What are you going for?
Well, I've said whatever happens, that if we even concede one, if it was 10-0 or 10-1, I'd be annoyed if it was 10-1, because we shouldn't be conceding against Sunderland. We should be absolutely rolling them over, and it'd be embarrassing if we even came close.
So are you going as big as 10?
No, I'm not going as big as 10. So I just thought I'd line myself up for it. I think you're looking at a 3-0 United. I think that's a realistic approach.
I think that's a safe bet. Nick, where are you going on this one?
4-0 United.
4-0. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go 3-0 as well. I think it is going to be a 2-0 win, or it certainly should be anyway.
If we get an early goal in the first 10 minutes, I think Sunderland are in big trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll hear the podcast land tonight. That's Thursday night. Do get your opinions in on anything discussed, and also make sure you get score predictions in. You've got until 3 o'clock come Saturday afternoon to get them in and get involved in the Predictor League that we're running this season.
I'm just going to throw one in there. We still have that fantasy football thing going.
We do, yeah.
We've not mentioned it on here.
Do you know what? Well, after the show, we'll tweet the link with the code to get involved in that as well. Why not? Get involved in everything. We're at We Follow United on Twitter. Catch all of our videos, including previous podcasts, on youtube.com/We Follow United. Thanks as always. Absolutely brilliant show. Some brilliant opinions and a chaotic fan takeover. We want some more like that, please. We'll speak to you after the Sunderland game.